All right. Okay, so very warm welcome everyone to today's webinar on remote and last mile logistics, which we do together with IELA. It's really a great pleasure to welcome everyone, and especially our colleagues from IELA who have done an incredible job last year already producing a guidance documents on 4 pillars within the logistics work stream. And this year, as you know, we have started putting all this a little bit more into life and running this webinar series. We have started already in October this year. In case you have missed this webinar, you are very welcome to look on the Net Zero Carbon Events page to basically to understand what was offered then. And today we will be talking about the remote and last mile logistics. But we have 2 more webinars coming up in December. So I would suggest that we start with the webinar, and I will give the floor to Elizabeth first, who might be able to tell a little bit more what is planned for December. And then, of course, afterwards, a very warm welcome to Ujjwal Gupta, who will be our speaker. Just some housekeeping rules. Please keep your mics off for this moment. If you have any questions, you are very welcome to type them in the chat. And after Ujjwal has finished with this presentation, we will be more than happy to go through these questions. So without any further ado, Elizabeth, thank you so much for the kind and great collaboration as usually. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. So we are all pleased to welcome you today. I'm Elizabeth Niehaus, the Executive Officer of the International Exhibition Logistics Association. What we are presenting to you is one of the solutions that we identified together during the 22-23 period of the logistic work stream, and which was an incredible cross-collaboration project where we had the whole value chain, all stakeholders discussing together how the future of event logistics should be. And well, we work all hand in hand, working on identifying key areas of decarbonization and particularly a change of mindset. And this why this year is so important, just to spread the word via the webinars. And in order just to evolve our industry strategy, we need to analyze our current practice in each industry segment, find a way to measure the output of both emissions that we create, and create a short, medium, and long-term plans to do so. So we are thrilled today to have Ujjwal Gupta. Ujjwal is the IELA chair of the Standards and Customs Working Group at IELA, and he's also international sales at Big Logistics in India. She will be sharing with us new insights of measurement and decarbonization on the scope area that is key for consolidating cargo, which is remote and last mile logistic. Dear Ujjwal, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I think that all of us should feel very lucky because we have been welcomed twice already, first by Alexander and then by Elizabeth. Well, I'll have to welcome you once again. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to thank Alexander, Elizabeth, and everyone else involved, the Sustainability Working Group at IELA included, to give me this opportunity to present this topic today. I'll do my best to share whatever feelings, whatever research work, whatever I can draw from my own experience. But this is such a huge topic, such an important topic, such a developing and ever-changing topic that I don't think so it can be summarized by one person on one webinar or 4 webinars for that matter. That is why I would request each and every one of you to share your suggestions, comments, feedbacks and not just questions, because I'm not really sure how much of that I'll be able to answer, in the comments section parallel to when I keep presenting the session. And together we will take it forward in the end by answering the questions or discussing the suggestions. Today's session is on remote and last mile logistics. Elizabeth has shared a bit about me already, but just to give you a brief insight from where I am and what I do. I have an experience of over 8 years in this field. I handle international sales, business development, a bit of operations at big logistics. I have done a master's in international marketing and operations. And that's pretty much it. I'm lucky to be right now, when during my presentation, I'd like to share some insight from on-site operations because I'm currently on site for CPHI India. And then we have been seeing a few things for the last 5 days, which I tried to incorporate in this presentation. This is how I tried to channel the presentation. This is just a brief table of contents for you because some of us might be joining for the first time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the first 3 points. That is a brief on the net zero carbon emissions, the pledge and the roadmap, and the work streams. This is just a little bit of a backdrop. Then we do a deep dive into today's topic. This is where I would want to spend most of my time, the logistics work stream, the scope of today, and the proposed solutions which we have physically seen, which can be done. I'd like to mention one thing that here I have taken a conscious effort of not including the very basic proposed solutions. For example, I was just discussing with Martha, for example, going paperless. I think so. That is the basic now, as in that should be done. It should have been implemented. So I have not taken into consideration the basic proposed solutions in here. Okay, so a brief on the net zero carbon emissions. What is net zero carbon emissions? It is an initiative hosted by JMIC. What are the objectives? It is to help the event industry achieve net zero carbon as per the universal goal of 2050. And how the objectives will be achieved, as we were discussing just before, it is a collaborative effort. Collaboration is the heart of it. All the stakeholders have to come together to achieve what we really want to achieve. Now, this is basically the pledge and the roadmap, the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And you have the timelines in front of you. The development of the pledge was phase 1. Then is the development of the roadmap, which I'm going to show a brief insight on the next slide that I have. And the phase 3 is delivery by the developed work streams, which is still a work in progress. The work streams also, there are the work streams which I'm going to give a brief insight into later on. Now, this is a pledge and a roadmap. It's a bit big, but what's the pledge? The pledge is obviously the objective is to achieve net zero carbon by 2050. Now, how are you going to do that? The roadmap is to publish your organization's plan, how you want to achieve it, and an interim plan to achieve 50%, reduce 50% GHG by 50% by 2030. Collaboration again, to measure and track the GHGs and to report progress at least every 2 years. Now, I did not elongate GHG particularly because I just wanted to throw out this in the open to see how well prepared or where we are. I don't have any freebies to give. Just like on LinkedIn or YouTube or something like that. But if anyone has the full form to GHG without Googling, you can write it in the comments and then we know at least where we are.
Ujjwal,
Now, what are the work streams?
Ujjwal, sorry to interrupt. Something happened to your mic. It's not that clear anymore when you speak. Probably
Is it
you
better now?
touched it. Say what?
Is it better now?
Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, no, sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Then we have what are the work streams for? In IELA, we call the working groups the heart of IELA. And we are to be very proud from where I am. I'm very proud to be a part of Standards and Customs Working Group, as Elizabeth introduced me. And I think so, work streams, subcommittees, committees, working groups, whatever you may call them, they're really the heart of all the efforts that's going into, because this is a job that each one of us does to contribute. It's a thankless job, but it's really one of the biggest efforts that one can take to help an initiative achieve what is really to be achieved. So the net zero carbon emission work streams has these five work streams in front of you: the venue energy, the food and food waste, logistics, smart production and waste management, travel and accommodation. The objective of this work streams is to provide guidance to execute the roadmap, which we saw in the last slide. So this is just a coherence, just a backdrop of what we are going to discuss for the people who are maybe connecting for the first time. Now we come to the topic quickly, where we really wanted to be, the logistics work stream. The logistics work stream has further been subdivided into four scopes: sustainable logistics, remote and last mile logistics, on-site logistics, traffic management, and smart cities. Remote and last mile logistics is the one which we're going to discuss today. But being a freight forwarder and an on-site forwarder and panel partner for Inform or Cologne Messe, I believe this is really the area, if someone asks me, this is really the area where a lot of effort still needs to be done. A lot of effort has been done in the freight area. A lot of effort is being done in the freight area. But this is really the challenging part. Luckily, I'm not the one discussing this. I'm the one who will be discussing remote and last mile logistics. Okay, just to let everyone know, our recommendations are centered on reducing emissions related to transportation of exhibition related materials, stand fitting material, LED lights, everything that goes into it. And our aim is to identify opportunities to optimize logistics and transportation routes, reduce disposable packaging material, source more sustainable equipment, products, and services. Now, the challenge is measuring and embedding. Net zero, reducing carbon emissions or making our events carbon neutral, really depends on how we are collecting the data, how we are measuring it, how much carbon emission is a particular operation generating, how can we neutralize it. So I believe this is again something I believe that is the real challenge is how do we measure and how do we embed the things that we measure so that the real solution can be found out. Now, how can the measuring be done? The one solution which comes up, is the online exhibitor area, which has slowly and steadily started to come up even more and more. Just to give you an idea, for CPHI India, earlier we used to have a move-in of 3.5, 4 days at the max. And every exhibitor used to come in with their freight 1 or 2 days before. Informa Markets, being the wonderful organizer they are, they have extended the move-in to 6.5 days, and they have pushed the exhibitors to such an extent that they are forced to book their services online, and the online exhibitor area has now started to act as a data collection center, which might not be as apt as we want it to be. We still need to vet a lot of data. We still need to clean a lot of data, but it is a huge step forward from where we are. In the first 2 days, we received about 90% of the freight on site. So the suggestions which we are going to give in the next few slides, I still feel that these solutions are really something which we have already been able to incorporate a little bit from what we have been seeing. Now, the basic thing is obviously we can't manage what we can't control, but that is where the real challenge comes from. Okay, the next 2 slides are are the basic heart of this presentation once again. Now, these are really the suggestions, the things that we need to do. And in front of them, I have listed the challenges which I personally feel will come in the way of achieving these solutions. So let's start with the first thing. Change begins, like the charity begins at home. Change for sustainability begins at home. This is something I feel. So I was discussing in the last IELA Congress in Taipei with someone, and we were discussing on sustainability. And then we were just thinking how small a change can help reduce single-use plastic. So each one of us have bins under their tables, and sometimes the more the number of tables, the more the number of bins. And you have plastic sheets inside of those bins, which are changed every day, or sometimes even more if the waste is more. Why not have a bin which is centrally located? So this is just a small example of changing the mindset. Now, how do you change the mindset? You draw attention to the areas of need through webinars like this, unite stakeholders and give out a clear and unique message by coming together again through a collaborative effort. The target is to integrate sustainability strategy in a business model. Now, the challenge I see here is busy schedules. Each and every one of us is running too busy, and nobody wants to do things which are not obvious. Nobody wants to do things which is disturbing their regular schedules. That is why the target should be to integrate things in your business model. Otherwise, I don't think so. As per the current exhibition event schedule that we have post-COVID, where the number of events are going up, and the freight is also increasing to an extent that nobody is having time to breathe. I don't think so. Changing the mindset, which is one of the most basic things, is going to be that easy. The next step is education, educating, creating quality content to create desire for conscious leadership. Most of the times, I feel, even in the Indian Exhibition Industry Association, IEIA, where we too have a subcommittee for sustainability, proudly so, we have been having this sustainability meetings in our congresses. We call them open seminars. But there are always talks, there are always questions. How do we start doing it? And sometimes we have even felt that the steps which are being taken are in the wrong direction, but the people who are taking it think that they are doing it in in the right direction. That is again where measurement comes into the picture. But I think so. Education is very, very important in that scenario, helping stakeholders to believe that the targets are realistic. Nobody would start working towards a target thinking that this can never be achieved. The targets have to be realistic. That's why I think so. 2050 is still looks like a realistic target, but then it has to be modified locally, region wise. Every region cannot travel the journey together. Every region is different in its own nature. The challenges are different in their own nature. We have been on site in Germany, which is one of the most advanced markets for on-site exhibitions, and we have seen the difference when we do exhibitions in India. I think so. The targets should be realistic and they should not be same as the ones for different regions. What is the challenge? I know it all. The resistance to change. Why do I need education at all? I know what I'm doing is correct. Why do I need measurement? Though I think so that the Gen Z, which is coming up, still has that feeling, had the mindset to just have a look or have a consideration of listening at least once. But I still feel that I know it all attitude is one of the deterrent factors in education. The career analysis, which I said I personally feel a lot of work is being done there. Very basic point, emissions by air freight are considerably higher than sea freight. The suggestion could be shifting to a hybrid mode of transportation. So recently, the transit time from Europe to India increased by about 20 days because of the issues in the Red Sea. So, and likewise from India to Europe. So some exhibitors, what they started doing was shipping their freight up to Dubai from India by air freight, and from Dubai to Europe by sea freight. It didn't increase their cost by that much, but it decreased considerably the transit time, and also inherently it also decreased the carbon emissions. So that's hybrid mode. You can always go ahead and select carriers who are carbon emission conscious, who are sustainability conscious. Neo fleet means, in most cases, means lesser emissions. Now, insurance in sea freight is much more complex than in air freight, and the time factor is again an obvious factor that sea freights take much higher times than air freight, and things like that. You cannot ship some kind of goods in under some dimensions by sea freight in a container, in an open top container. The sea freights for an open top container are through the roof. Shipment consolidation. This is one suggestion where I feel that we personally have been trying to, and I would like to talk collaboratively for all the Indian freight forwarders, Indian logistics service providers. Shipment consolidation is something all of us try to do a lot. But this is one point where collaboration should happen at the peak. Collaboration with the exhibition organizers, collaboration with the exhibitors, collaboration with the venues, and collaboration with the other service providers. So for example, I have a customer who is shipping both freight and stand fitting material, and I am doing their freight for them, and then somehow we do the stand fitting material and we try to deliver it both together. The organizers sometimes want the freight delivered earlier. This is how it has been happening in CPHI, and the stand fitting material to be delivered later for the ease of access of movement inside the venue. The customer sometimes want that they don't want other freights to be combined with their freight. They want their freight shipped earlier. So shipment consolidation is one of the most impactful solutions, I think so, that can happen, but it needs a lot of collaboration. I think so that makes sense, because the more the impact, the more difficult it becomes to execute. Planning, which is obviously important in most of the cases, plays a huge role. Try to plan in advance. Relay. So when we say plan in advance, then again we go to solution number 3. Then you can try to select your transport mode accordingly. In India, we don't have the option of road freight that much as compared to Europe, because of the different land borders. But if you plan in advance, maybe you can ship by sea freight. Relay exact information to the forwarders. That means sometimes we are having to spend double the effort in terms of transportation from the seaport or the airport to the customs stations here and there, or to the exhibition venue, when the exact information is not received by the forwarders. So for example, just to give you a basic idea of what I mean here, the shipment arrives at the seaport, and the customs port is some distance. We load the freight for customs examination and we take it there as per the information declared, but there is some bit of a difference in what the information we receive and what there is exactly. We again have to take it back to do the documentation and stuff like that. Book on-site services in advance. This helps us, the freight forwarders, to make our arrangements, to book the equipment, place the equipments for you, place the manpower for you in advance. Obviously, in this case, unforeseen delay. We had a shipment, live example, shipment arriving from Italy for CPHI. The shipment was delayed by 15 days. We had to select the best mode of transportation. The road transportation from the seaport to the exhibition venue was around 1,300 kilometers. It took around, I'd say, around 48 hours, 2 days. Not the best option for sustainability, but obviously the best option for the exhibitor, who was very, very impatient, rightly so. So these kind of things are completely out of your hand. The vessel did not get proper berthing as per the schedule. Yeah, packaging, reusing, recycling, and recycled content. Just one thing that just crossed my mind while I was studying this. I'll share it at just a bit later when I first read these points. Banning the use of single-use plastic, again, very obvious, very simple option. Use reusable, recyclable, sustainable packaging solutions, obviously high costs. Now, we were thinking, I was discussing this with Blue Lemon today, who are doing the security at CPHI. When you talk of using recyclable and recycled content, there is a huge amount of material which has been accumulated, which is not reusable today, and is being used for box packaging, freight movement, and stuff like that. Now, suddenly you think that I'm going to switch to recycled content. Other than costing high, what are you going to do with the huge amount of crates that you already have in the existing market, which is going to cost a lot to keep it aside or just not to use them. So this is one challenge. Then choosing freight forwarders, obviously use specialized freight forwarders. That is what IELA is for. Proper awareness of customs procedures. You should know, your customer should have a basic idea. We are there, but the customer should have a basic idea of the country where they're shipping goods to, what are the basic custom procedures, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Again, high costs. Specialized services have special prices. People might not want to use specialized freight forwarders. They might want to send their cargo through different modes, through different freight forwarders. Even we have seen sometimes people using courier modes for shipments, which cannot and should not be sent through courier mode. Obviously, it increases a lot of documentation work, coordination work, and transportation and stuff like that. Warehousing and storage is one place, obviously, where again we have huge scope. And I believe personally, speaking about India, huge work is being done. Keeping the location of the warehouse close to the venue, very good option, but it's a dilemma. Do you keep your warehouse close to the venue or do you keep your warehouse close to the port? Or what do you do? I think so, but in either way, you save some cost, sustainable some emissions on the transportation because it is combined from your port to the warehouse to the exhibition venue. Both these locations are prime locations, closer to the venue or closer to the port, hence the higher cost. You can think of choosing warehouse facilities which use sustainable solutions like LED lighting, panels, and things like that. If you have the option, if the warehouse is ready to disclose these things. Data collection and performance evaluation, adopt an accepted calculation methodology. Don't run haywire. Try to learn from the people who have some sort of a calculation methodology, how they are calculating their carbon emissions. So maybe I'm using a diesel forklift and somebody other on site is using an electric forklift. Can I learn from them? Is it an accepted calculation methodology? Can I accept it? And if yes, then I try to adopt it. And then again, the second point is in connection to the first one, measure and share your results from your own processes. Delivery, again, this has something to do with the consolidation, which we talked in the previous slide, consolidating and delivering to the venue. This seems a bit unrealistic, uncooked, but then maybe something can be done. Rejection of smaller deliveries by the venue, saying that smaller trucks cannot be delivered. As a matter of fact, CPHI, when we are doing, sorry for giving so many examples, but because it's so recent, for the first 2-3 days, smaller trucks, I don't say they are not allowed, but they don't come in because the conditions are such that only big freight is allowed or big trucks ultimately end up. So this is partly being done, but not exactly in this spirit. Delivering freight and transporting materials together. This is something we have discussed. Compliance and exhibitor needs. Exhibitor needs are not always the same, and compliance is by the venue is always not the same. It's different. Now, the proposed solutions, collaboration at the heart of it. I think so. Whatever you do, you need to collaborate with each one and everyone up and down the value chain. Having electric fleets and biofuels, investing in the future one step at a time. This has a cost, a cost tangent as well. It is obviously costly. It is not mm, it is not very cheap. But then this is where this point comes in, cost sharing, not to put all the load on a single shoulder. So, for example, ultimately, I'm pushing my exhibitor to use recyclable packing material and recyclable stand fitting material and electric. And I say, okay, I'm gonna give you an electric forklift because it's costing me more. It doesn't mean that I bill him the entire cost. Maybe I try to absorb some part of it. Sounds difficult, but then someone needs to make a start. Maybe the organizers can chip in. We have huge contributions in India from the venues in recycling the waste materials, which is in huge content, the food waste, the fitting material. They're doing a wonderful job. So I think so they are already collaborating. Effective route planning. This is a case-based scenario. Measure your emissions and adapt. I think so. Your freight booking agents, ITAs or NVOCCs can help you a lot in this case. How much carbon emission is your particular flight going to have? Do you have a better route? But does the better route mean more cost? Because a better route means a shorter route. Shorter route means more costs because it's going to make your freight reach earlier. So that has a cost implication as well. So maybe, but then we can try to effectively do the route planning. Real-time data tracking and data sharing. This is pretty much we have discussed in the previous slide. Incentivizing and recognition. I think so. This is something that we have been discussing within the Indian Exhibition Industry Association. And I think so. This is something which is very good. People should be appreciated for what they do. It always has that feel good factor. Everyone wishes to be appreciated for something good they do, and if you are differentiating them, giving them a certificate and any such thing, it's good for them as well, for their sales, for their business. But I think so at the heart of it always makes them feel good because they have done a wonderful thing, and we know how much of an effort it takes to do new, different, and wonderful things. Cost sharing, again, that's something that I think so we have discussed, but cost sharing is something that needs to start somewhere, and everyone needs to come together and do something about it so that all the load doesn't fall on a particular person and they don't end up losing everything that they have. One thing that I felt that all these things, and if a brand invests in sustainability, which is a byproduct, I feel the main product still remains lower carbon emissions, but a byproduct which I think we can promote and somehow uh, help people to change that mindset because it's a big selling point. I'm a salesperson, and we always try to bank on sales points where we can crack the sales. So enhancement in brand image and customer trust. So I think so because this is a huge thing which is coming up in itself, which has been doing a lot of rounds everywhere in the world. So I think so that if we market it the right way, step one, do it the right way. But step two, if we market it in the right way, we can pull a lot of customers, a lot of stakeholders to believe in what we believe and to bring them together and uh, request them, make them believe that this is what we should be doing. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to what we said. This is one line. This is not mine. I'm so sorry. I did not put it in quotes, but it resonated with my thinking. So that's why I have put it here. Embracing sustainability practices go beyond reducing carbon emissions. It's about reinventing logistics operations to be efficient, cost effective, and environmentally responsible. That'll be it from my end. And from the position that I am in, I'd like to open the stage for discussion and comments and feedback, and to Elizabeth and to Alexander.
Thank you so much, Ushval. So I have a dream, and this dream is that on every single exhibitor area, there is an area for logistics where exhibitors can share with the organizer, with the venue, and with the service provider what do they need, what they are planning for since day one when they sign for the exhibition, so that from day one, we can start supporting the customer to do the right thing. And this enabling connection that from the beginning, we will be able first to listen to the customer and understand what the customer is looking for, but we will be able just to collaborate in the value chain with the organizer, with the venue, and with, for example, the stand builder and so on, in order to reduce emissions and work effectively. And this is my dream, so that every single exhibition in the world, every event in the world enables this, and this will be the sole only way to measure. We will have the sole only way, because on-site logistics, IELA is delivering a great tool in order just to measure all the emissions that we are producing on-site, that we are producing via forklifts and cranes, but this is not enough. We need to understand the carbon footprint that we generate from, let's say, Shanghai to the show in Düsseldorf and back. And I think the only way is just to have in an area, a dedicated area for logistics, where all this information could be gathered, where we all can work together and we can really measure directly, when we have, imagine DMG exhibiting at the machine show EMO in Hanover. They have one hall full of equipment. Each equipment has between 5 and 12 tons. So imagine that hall, that we could measure which is the impact of moving the freight and how we can enabling also to, let's say, do the work per edition of the show better and better. And I think this is the only way, is to start first understanding what we are doing and just having the data that we need, measuring, and also analyzing how we can do better by edition. I had a dream.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Indeed, I think it's not only your dream. Probably everyone who is on this call today has a very similar dream. And Ujjwal, thank you so much for your presentation. Really interesting how you structured it. And I do want to open, of course, the floor to questions. I also have 2 questions myself, but maybe. If you guys have any questions beforehand, please go ahead and raise it. Just no need to type it now. Just go ahead and speak up. In case there is anything you would like to speak with Ujjwal.
I'm sorry, I don't speak this much usually, but I'd like to just say on Elizabeth's dream. I think so. Part of it is still coming true. It could be obvious, but data sharing is happening. For example, for Messe München or for Cologne Messe, they have these online forms which the exhibitors are filling more and more as per the deadlines. I'm just not sure how much collaboration or how much emission studies is being happening there, and how much of data is being released. I have seen a huge change in the last 5 years for Messi München and for Informa. We always give them the freight that we have handled each day on the day of move-in. And now we have seen the freight being equally distributed. This is a good thing for the freight forwarder, but this is not a good thing sustainability-wise because now I'm having to ply more forklifts for more number of days. Earlier, I was plying for less number of days because you have to be sure on site. So I'll always keep some equipment handy. So it's still happening, but I think so we need to structure it more and more in collaboration with the organizer.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think, when we are able to anticipate, we can plan better and implement better. And I think just having the logistics provider on site, having really been part of the exhibitor area and understanding the whole freight moving in to the exhibition and understanding how we can consolidate freight and how we can plan on-site logistics in advance, this is going to be key. But also imagine from the exhibitor point of view, when I see at the end of the show, I can analyze how my carbon footprint was, and I can really say, okay, this year I decided just to go for, let's say, I don't know, a hybrid or electric forklifts, and I compare my carbon footprint with the past. Then I said, okay, indeed, I did strong effort this year just to go for electric, and but I see immediately in my carbon footprint outcome the reward. And I think visualizing also from the organizer perspective, I think we will make our exhibitors not only happy, but we will be helping them to be consistent to their own carbon emissions reduction plan that several exhibitors already have. So think about DMG, one of the biggest machine tool manufacturers in the world. I think for them this will be a game changer.
Okay. Anyone has any question to Ujjwal? Otherwise, Ujjwal, if you don't mind, I will ask a follow-up question to shipment consolidation, which you've mentioned. I noted down that you said that a lot can be achieved in this area specifically. So my question is, how is it actually that we can dive a little bit deeper here into this topic? And are there any best practice examples already which we can share? Specifically, I would like to understand what do we need on the one hand side from the venues, what do we need from the organizers, and what do we need from the suppliers in order to achieve a better shipment consolidation, since this is a very huge topic.
I feel that first and foremost, shipment consolidation starts right at the beginning, not after the freight has. So, for example, I'm handling freight for CPHI. Shipment consolidation doesn't start once the freight has reached India. Shipment consolidation starts at the origin.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuming 6 exhibitors from a very small number, but 6 exhibitors from Germany are shipping their goods. Why not we consolidate the freight then and there, and they send it under the same different shippers, different shipments, different timelines that the shipments get ready for export. But let's assume the best case scenario. Why don't we have a situation where the freight is shipped consolidated in a consolidated way right from Germany? We clear it once it's here individually, load it on our truck so the shipment is already consolidated, and then shift it to the venue or to my own warehouse. Now, where the organizer comes into picture is there is a huge, talking about recent examples, there is a huge collaboration between the organizer and the venues. Assuming the venues are not running full back to back, if we can have some kind of a situation which we had for CPHI, thanks to Informa, we were clearing freight from the airport and the seaport, consolidating as much as we could, and then shifting it not to the intermediate warehouse, not to our warehouse, but directly to the exhibition venue, because the organizer had collaborated with the venue owner, and they had given some sort of a possibility to us so that we can store the goods directly on site. That saves huge transportation, huge handling equipment of forklifts at the warehouse, offloading, then reloading, and then offloading it again at the exhibition venue. One challenge here I see is that if it doesn't start at the origin and then I try to consolidate at the airport, that it means huge costs for the shippers. So I receive one freight today and receive one freight 2 days after. Airport storage charges or seaport storage charges increase exponentially, and they are heavy on everyone's pocket, and nobody wants to have them. They are the most controversial charges. Demurrage charges are the least preferred and most notorious, and I hate them. Personally, I hate them. I don't want to see an invoice on demurrage written on them because it challenges to. I challenge my service if I see demurrage on an invoice. So if I'm not taking freight out of the airport or the seaport, then I incur demurrage, and then the demurrage is ultimately billed to the customer or uh, however it happens. So I think so. It starts at the origin. Freight must be consolidated at the origin. It should come together as much as possible. And we have seen this happening. Our partners in IELA, we try to collaborate with them and see if this can be worked out. But to be frank, currently, more than a sustainability point of view, it is more cost effective. Sustainability is a byproduct. To be very frank, from where I sit today, sustainability is a byproduct. The objective is still to save as much cost as possible. And ultimately, it becomes sustainable because we are saving on transportation, we are saving on warehouse handling and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this why sorry, Alex, this is why I believe that the only solution is just to have a logistic area at the exhibitor area, because we will be able just to start consolidating from the beginning. We will see how many shipments are being sent from, let's say, Shanghai to Düsseldorf, because all sent outs with for example, containers that the exhibitors are sending, they will be entered in the system. So very, very easily, we will be able to identify and really consolidate cargo at the origin.
I mean, I think it's clear that very often we unfortunately pursue the economic impact much stronger than the impact of sustainability. However, in my opinion, it also showcases that sustainability is a way to make your operations more economical, and we are all talking about shifting the mindset, and I think this will go hand in hand. My question is, Elizabeth, to you, and then to Ujjwal, then, because if we are taking a fair, a trade show, and have this, stand for area for logistics, this show has already happened. But I think we're talking about, planning in advance before the show actually is happening, right? So who should be in the driver's seat in order to change all this, to consolidate the information? I think it should come from the organizer, because the organizers, they know who is going to exhibit, and they should create this kind of consolidation opportunities. Isn't that how we should drive this forward?
Yes, well, actually, when you are at the exhibitor area, the exhibitor is communicating with the provider directly that is responsible for that sector. Okay, so and we think that the on-site logistics, the official on-site logistic providers should be the one working together with the organizer and with the exhibitors in order just to consolidate and, let's say, go down with our carbon footprint. But on the other side, it's extremely important. Whatever we do is just to really measure together. And I think this is another thing, because imagine, so at the end of the day, the on-site logistic provider will be able to say which was the carbon footprint that that particular exhibitor had during on-site during the build-up day 1 and 2. So it will be absolutely transparent. You will have the whole, let's say, value chain, from the origin to the show and back. You will be able to see exactly the emissions that you created, so that we could see how we can become zero. We can go down with the emissions, but we can also compensate at the end with, for example, with common projects. They are really good compensation projects at the moment. And I think, it's doing both together, but in a very, very transparent way and with an ongoing measurement from show to show. And the only way is just to have it on a technological platform like the exhibitor portal, like the exhibitor area, where everything is absolutely transparent.
It all sounds wonderful, but I see one challenge. I'm not really sure how much of information the organizer is ready to share. GDPR is one concern. The second concern is I talk about consolidation of freight. Assuming there are 3, 4 freight forwarders for a big show, and the information is going out to me for all the other exhibitors as well, because it's a commonly shared platform. And let's consider the best case scenario. It's a show where a sole freight forwarder has been appointed, but he can be working with 4 different agents, IELA agents in Germany, from whom they are receiving cargo. So consolidating that cargo means sharing a lot of data, anti-competitive pricing, and anti-competitive practices, and it's a very delicate area. It's very delicate. It's something that a lot of study needs to go into as to what to share and what not to share, and what can really be shared. But a lot of data is being shared, uh, and I think so a lot can still be shared. But the organizer in collaboration again with the service providers, we need to sit and think what data can be shared, which has a direct, because we're talking about sustainability. So maybe just the freight, from where it's coming and from which exhibitor, that's it. So
Yeah,
maybe stuff like that.
this is exactly, what the information that should be shared. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, Elizabeth, this is maybe something which we can take on into the next phase and try to indeed have some sort of a working group between logistics and the organizers on how we can make this whole information flow a little bit easier, so that both parties and stakeholder groups actually understand each other, and how this can be optimized in future. That could lead to a more efficient way. And of course,
Absolutely.
the ultimate goal is, of course, decarbonization and sustainable solutions.
Yeah, and the venues is also important. For example, on on-site logistics, in order to be efficient with electric forklifts, the whole floor needs to be even. As soon as you have a loop, then you go down with the 30%, for example, energy capacity of the forklift. Imagine. So if we have an on-site space which is absolutely even, you can work with the electric forklift without any problem. As soon as you have an uneven floor, and this is something that we need to work together with the venue. So this is one example of the challenges that we have.
charging stations as well for electric forklifts. I don't, as per the capacity of the forklifts we use today for CPHI itself, there are charging stations, but they are nowhere near to what we need, or they are nowhere near to trustable amount for them to rely on.
All right. Any other questions for Ujjwal, for Elizabeth, maybe? Doesn't look like it. Well, then, well, thank you so much. First of all, of course, to Ujjwal for having spent the time to prepare and to deliver such a great presentation. I think we all learned a little bit more today. And the outcome for us, Elizabeth, I think is pretty clear that we need to optimize the collaboration, at least try to provide a framework how we can do that.
Yes.
We will certainly work on this for 2025. And of course, a huge thanks to everyone involved at IELA. A great webinar, and I am very much looking forward to the continuation of it also in December.
Exactly. So we have the next webinar on December the 4th on the traffic management and smart cities. Then we have IELA's Operations Day on December the 5th, where we will be discussing about the future of operations and where we will be focusing on talent, on AI, on what happens when you have sold out venues with really very, very brief build-ups and dismantling periods, what happened with the health and safety, and how important it is also collaboration in order just to define and build a new world of logistics. And the last but not least will be on December the 12th, where we are going to focus on sustainable logistics.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.